All right, everyone, welcome back into another NFL DFS video. Going to be breaking down the Monday two-game slate here for you guys. I'm going to do a game-by-game breakdown in case you guys are trying to play a showdown slate, but I'm going to cover it in the full two-game format as well. So let's go ahead and get into it. So as we look at the two games that we have on Monday night, we have a game between the Bucs and the Texans. That game total-wise, a little bit lower scoring than the next game. This one is at 42.5 total points. It is in favor, although it's a close game, 2.5 spread, it is in favor of the Texans winning. Then we go ahead and take a peek at the other game. We got the Chargers versus the Raiders. I do like the plays a little bit more in this game, to be honest with you, partially because it is a little bit of a higher scoring game, 46.5 total points. Also going to be a pretty close game at about a 3.5, 3.4 on average difference there. So two close games there, which is nice. We don't have to worry about any game script builds in particular there. So let's go ahead and break down the first game here. I don't mind Baker Mayfield. I do think that I actually like the quarterbacks a little bit better in the Chargers and Raiders game, but he is fine because you could easily, I don't want to say easily, but you could get to him pretty easily with like someone like Sterling Shepard, who is pretty darn cheap. Shepard ended up with a 70% route share last week. Didn't play like a ton of snaps, but also didn't play a minimal amount of snaps. Ended up with 6 targets, guys, 3 receptions, 39 receiving yards. That's not a bad value. Now, the issue with this slate is we probably won't need to get to any value. There's a bunch of cheap pricing to the point where we don't need to do that. My issue thus far in the slate has been I've had too much money left over. Now, for showdown purposes, I do think Sterling Shepard becomes a pretty interesting click. For what it's worth, I don't mind Emeka Buka. I think, 2 touchdowns on 4 receptions, obviously not sustainable. I would say his second touchdown was it was great. I mean, he looked good doing it, but it was just a fantastic throw from Baker Mayfield. It was a better throw than play by, I don't even want to say that was just a great throw. I want to admire the throw from Baker a little bit there. Very good throw. But Emeka we could get to as well. And then Mike Evans, you would expect him to probably have a better game than he had, but he was solid as well. The thing with the Bucs is they're going to run out 11 personnel a bunch. They ran it about 70% of the time last week. And so those 3 players are definitely going to be all in play, not only for a main slate like this, but also for a showdown slate like this. And we're going to be picking between, do we want to go with the Bucs receivers or do we want to be going with the Chargers receivers? That has kind of been what I've been getting to the most. Tight end wise, I don't hate Kadon, also not going on my way to target him. We are basically going to have to play Bucky Irvin, I feel like, just because we don't really have any other good running back plays. So getting into Nick Chubb here for the Texans, you see the 30% OPK ranks, the opponent rank here. Very misleading because Bijan Robinson, well, if you guys are watching the Monday Night Football game, he's just arguably the best running back in the league. Like the fact that Robinson was able to get going in the passing game while he had a terrible game rushing the football is not something we would expect Nick Chubb to be able to replicate. And so I wonder if they're going to watch the film, if the Texans are going to watch the film and actually decide to get Dario Gumbawale more involved. And so again, this is not something you would use for the main slate, for the 2-game slate. That'd be more of a showdown play that you could get to as well. More of a pump play if you're trying to jam in the rest of the studs. So theoretically, we have 2 pretty good value plays for that showdown slate, and that's probably the better way to attack this game because Nick Chubb, I could find pieces in him as a play. And he is someone that I will say, I was hyping him up a decent amount after watching him in the preseason, in the sense that I didn't think he looked completely washed like he had looked last year for the Browns. Had some bursts, actually looked really good in week 1 as well in that regard. It's not a terrible matchup. Someone can always fall into the end zone. I don't hate it, but that's really what you'd be hoping for, is him falling into the end zone. I'm not going to play CJ Stroud. He didn't look good. We'll see. It doesn't help that you're without Christian Kirk and you're having to rely on some rookie receivers a little bit more. Xavier Hutchinson was actually the receiver number 2 in that game, but he only saw 2 targets, was able to score 5.5 DFS points. He's another one value-wise. I think both main slate-wise, we don't need it, but again, you could get to him. And showdown-wise, you could play him. Now, I do want to take a peek at Nico Collins. He ended up with 5 targets. I do want to call out his projections for this game. So I had this pulled up on the 9-to-5 weekly projections here. And if we look at kind of the best values, he's not the highest there, like 2.27. But if we sort it by total projected points scored on the slate, it goes Herbert, Baker, and then Nico. So raw points-wise, he is someone that pops up as well. For what it's worth, we go a little bit lower. Mike Evans is also there as well. And so he's a little bit higher up. Bucky Irvin, not that high. But again, what are we noticing here? Running back-wise, there aren't that many good running back plays. Amari Hampton is not a perfect play as well. We'll touch on that in just a second. Now, I do want to call out Dalton Schultz. I would expect him to be in an expanded role like he was last week, but he played limited snaps, okay? And so that's a concern to me. The amount of snaps he played was extremely concerning. We actually saw Cade Stover play a bunch in that game. Now, he's on the IR, so naturally you would think that Dalton Schultz just gets going in this game. And he is someone that should benefit with Christian Kirk out as well. Like, I don't mind him. I think he's a fine click. I kind of like paying up for Brock Bowers because, again, we have a bunch of salary left over. And so that's kind of been the route I've been going. So we'll go ahead and get into the second game. And I will say, I'm kind of just taking a simple approach. I think Justin Herbert looked great in week one. I see that be something that's going to consistently happen. And so I want to play him. And if you look at the run game, I don't think the run game looked all that good. I think Omarion Hampton has really struggled thus far in the NFL. And that might sound weird to people, but all the flaws that you worried about him coming out of college in his game really showed out in that game in a bad way, obviously. And so he is like the second best running back play, I think, on this slate, but price point wise, but also I don't necessarily love him as a play. Like, it doesn't, the second running back that we're playing will matter, but like on paper, it doesn't matter, if that makes sense. Like, I do think Najee Harris is going to get a little bit more involved. And so that's the toughest part. Like, we'll go to the running back position here for the Raiders as well. Obviously, Ashton Denty, you could end up playing. I do think the Chargers are going to be not as good as they were last week. I think last week was simply due to Kareem Hunt not being all that good these days. And Pacheco he's a hard-nosed runner. If the play's there, Pacheco's going to make it and maybe make it a little bit more. But if it's not there, he's going to get tackled pretty quickly. And Genty, I don't hate, but I don't love. Like, he didn't have necessarily a great game last week against the Patriots as well. And so it is a difficult balancing act there. And for both teams, I'd rather get to their pass catchers. So for the Chargers, for instance, I like all three of them. I think they're all too cheap. Ladd McConkey's kind of an easy click. Quentin Johnston was a player that was hyping up a decent amount last week, and a boy. Thank you for coming through, Johnston. It was weird the amount of hype he had. Well, I shouldn't say that. Let's rephrase that. It was weird the amount people were willing to like dump on him pretty much because he got a concussion in a preseason game, and then they brought in Keenan Allen. Like, he just became an afterthought for a lot of people in basketball drafts. The DFS or the sports books, like last week his line was at like 22 for his receiving yards. I was like, he can get that in one catch. It was a very strange line. Now the question is, does he continue to be effective? This effective? Maybe. I don't know. He looked good. Honestly, a random question here, guys. Between Johnston and Marvin Harrison Jr., is there a difference? Is there? Honestly, like, I know both of them first round picks, right? Harrison, an early pick, got a lot of hype, but you could argue quarterback play. Production has been very similar. That's the whole point. It's kind of interesting when you phrase it that way. I'm sure a lot of people would still say Marvin Harrison Jr., but you guys get the point. Like, when you phrase it that way, it's a little bit different thought process for him. But that being said, I like him, and I don't mind Keenan Allen as well. They all played a bunch of snaps as well. There's a bunch of 11 personnel. Now, I will say, I was actually pretty shocked at the amount of snaps that Will Dissly played in comparison to Tyler Conklin, because I think Tyler Conklin is like their best tight end. They should get him more involved. I was really shocked at that snap share. So I'm really not targeting either of those two. But the issue here is, like, again, we kind of are probably forced to play in Hampton. If I'm playing all three of these receivers, that really leaves us strapped with what we have to do. So don't necessarily love that. Like, we'd have to figure out which one of those three to maybe not have in a build. Now, I will say I probably will be playing a receiver in my flex, and the receiver I will play in my flex a bunch is going to be Jacoby Myers. So Brock Bowers is already a little bit banged up, and Jacoby Myers, I just see him continue to do this. He is someone that gets a heavy amount of targets. 8 receptions last week. Like, it really was not shocking for him to have that game that he had. He has been this player ever since the Raiders got rid of Devontae Adams. He has been Devontae Adams for the Raiders. He has a quarterback upgrade this year with Geno Smith. He is someone, I was really shocked at this pricing. Like, I honestly don't get how he is cheaper than Johnston and just like a bunch of the receivers on the slate. It's crazy. He should be a safe play, especially if Bowers is a little bit banged up. Now, from there, Trey Tucker, showed on purposes, guys, if you're playing there. He played 90% of the snaps. They like him there. He can get used in the rushing game as well with end arounds and whatnot. Now, he only ended up with 3 targets, but again, if Brock Bowers is maybe a little bit banged up, he is someone that could get a little bit more involved as well. Dante Thornton, we'll see if he gets a little bit more work. Didn't play all that much, so kind of taking the wait-and-see approach on him. But again, lineup-wise, although I don't mind Dalton Schultz, I do expect Brock Bowers to play. We could easily fit Brock Bowers in there. DST-wise, it's a 4-game slate, whatever. I don't I don't really see an advantage either way with any of the defenses, honestly. They're all basically priced the same as well. I go with the Bucs, whatever, because I don't want to go with the Raiders or Chargers because I'm getting my most exposure to them. So we have 5.8 left over. And this is what I mean. Like, we're getting to Hampton. I don't love that. So I'm going to have to change it a little bit. Let's go and see what the 9-to-5 lineup builder here is telling us are some of the top builds here. So again, I'm probably going to try to get to more of a receiver in the flex. That'll be something I change. Going to eliminate the 0 projections for us for now. And we're going to force a QB stack with pass catcher. So I'm only going to do 5 lineups though, just so you guys can get an idea of what this is kind of telling us as well. So Geno Smith, Justin Herbert, Baker. I kind of like that. Maybe I'd want to get to Baker a little bit over Geno Smith. I'm perfectly fine playing Geno Smith actually. Justin Herbert's going to be the top priority though for me. So I did go Aston Genty. I disagree with that. I think we want to get to Bucky Irvin instead. But then it goes Ladd, Evans, Jacoby Myers, Dalton Schultz, Nico. Like, you can't really argue this build. It's a strong build. I like that build a bunch. That is very good. Then from there, let's talk about the Justin Herbert build. So Justin Herbert, Bucky Irvin, Rashad White. Don't hate that. I think I'd rather go Harris there instead. But also then you're playing, I guess probably not, because then you're playing Herbert with Harris. Don't necessarily love that. Kadon, don't love that. Probably wouldn't be playing him much. I'd rather get to Dalton Schultz. But it is kind of easy to make some pretty solid builds for a 2-game slate. There's too much salary left over is the problem. Just depends on where you want to pay up. So that's going to do it for this video, guys. Make sure to leave a like, subscribe to the channel if you guys have not done so before. If you guys would like access to that lineup builder, maybe you're thinking about playing some showdown sites as well, you guys can use that tool for that as well. If you guys want access to the NFL DFS cheat sheet as well as all the other tools available on 9to5sports.com, they're available on 9to5sports.com for only $10 a month. Thank you guys for watching. Good luck with all your DFS builds. If you guys are thinking about placing some prop bets, maybe on Prize Picks or Underdog, I posted a video for that last night as well. Check that out. Thank you guys for watching. Good luck. And as always, let's keep cashing.